Hello and welcome. I am Annette Reeder from thebiblicalnutritionist.com, and today it's all about which way can you make bread and save money, the Vitamix or the mock mill. Which is the better option for you? So we're going to talk about that because cost is definitely a factor in most people's budget. So let's talk about that. But before we do, I would love for you to hit the like, subscribe, the bell. That way we can stay connected and build a relationship while together learning more and more about God's recipe for excellent health. And by the way, when you're out on the internet, please go out and check biblicalnutritionacademy.com. That is where we have all of our courses on praying and fasting and eating. The 40-day transformation course is there, and oh my, the testimonies coming out of that. When we really look into our beliefs and understand, wow, that belief does not match God's word, everything changes. So you might want to check out that course. We also have the Treasures of Healthy Living. We have fasting courses. We have prayer courses. Amazing information. And it's all being delivered to you, just understanding that God's word is always our truth. It is our foundation. And I'd love to meet you there. Anyway, okay, are we ready? Well, I know through many comments and even in my own beginning stages of learning to eat healthy, and especially with God's recipe through the Bible diet, there's always a cost factor. And many of you are not ready to make the $200 to $300 investment in a mock meal or a Nutri-Mill or Wonder Mill, and yet you're wondering, what can I do instead? My husband will let me do it if I convince him I'll stick to it. Why are husbands like that all the time? Probably because we've done a few things in the past and not stuck with it. So this is a Vitamix. Now let me give you a hint on buying a Vitamix. Never buy it brand new, no matter what. This was refurbished. I bought it in 2004 and it's still running perfectly. Never had to replace a thing. So always, they have refurbished on their website. You can check that out and save at least $100. In buying the Vitamix, make sure you get both tops. There's a wet blender and then there's a dry blender. This is the one, and it even says on the side, dry blade. The blades are different, so the dry blade is going to cut up the grains a lot better than the wet blade. And it's just worth the investment. So refurbished always. So, it's just an expense. Now, you can also hand grind your grain. I'm not going to go into that today. I don't have enough time. All right. So what I did was I made 3 loaves of bread. This is my first loaf I made with the flour from the mock mill. And I have it on its finest setting. The second loaf I made was this loaf. This is made from flour out of the Vitamix. Although I knew when I was making it, I did not let it mill long enough, because I can tell by mixing it, it was a little bit dense. It had some texture to it. It wasn't a really fine flour. And I decided I did not want to show you that as an example. So I went back and milled some more in the Vitamix, only I milled it until it was totally fine, a fine flour. So that's the third loaf here. So you can see these 2 loaves, no one's going to know if you made it in the mock mill, Nutri-Mill, or the Vitamix. It's going to be just as good. Now, here's the key though on using the Vitamix. If you don't mill it long enough, and it's all by visual and by feel, take it out and feel it in your hands, like, does it feel gritty? Then mill it some more. You may think, wow, this is taking a long time. It does. Now with the machines, you don't have to even worry about it. It's going to come out exactly like you want it. It's going to come out quick and fast. All right, so let's go ahead and cut into these loaves here. We will do the first loaf, which is the really nice mock mill. And you can just kind of look at that bread. Wow, isn't that beautiful bread? All right, so now let's cut into the one that I didn't let. All right, this is taking a little bit more muscle. That was definitely a dense bread. Now, guess what? We are still eating this bread. I do not waste bread. I could turn it into croutons. And yeah, so it looks just as beautiful, but you can tell it's a little bit more dense. This is a little bit lighter and fluffier. Now, the third one, which is the other Vitamix that I milled longer, cutting it cuts exactly the same as the mock mill. And then feeling it, It's almost identical. It's a little bit more dense than the mock meal, but no one's going to know if you don't tell them. That's kind of the secret to feeding people healthy food. So there you go. You don't have to have the expense of the big machines if you already own this. You might have maybe a KitchenAid, mixer, and you can just buy an attachment which is less expensive than buying the big mock meal. So there's different options. My goal is, for one, you stop listening to people who don't understand real bread, because Jesus is the real bread, and what he represents is true life. And too many people are teaching the wrong things about bread, but when we mill the wheat ourselves, we control the food that our family is eating and the nutrition. So this is definitely nutrition packed. This is energy dense, nutrient dense, all of those keywords, and it's actually going to go in and help heal your microbiome. Bread in the store, I don't care what kind it is not comparable to this bread that you make yourself. Much cheaper to buy the grain. You can stock up on the grain, especially as food prices are escalating very quickly. They're going to go up even faster in the next couple months. You can stock up on grain, and that way you will always have it and can always feed your family well. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been fun to put it together, just the whole thought process. And I always want to help you save money where you can, and this is definitely a good option. Maybe your own blender, try that. If you have a Ninja or Magic Bullet, try that. See if you can mill the grain yourself. You may do it in small increments. You may just do a biscuit, make a biscuit, and that's it. I'm not sure. But it's always fun to try, knowing that you're providing for your family with the nutrients that God put in the food to help you to just have a healthy life. If you haven't checked out my book, Satisfied Baking with Whole Grains, I highly recommend that. It has my favorite whole grain recipes, and it's so delicious. Oh, some true favorites are in there. So check out that book, Satisfied Baking with Whole Grains. Until next time, I am Annette Reeder at The Biblical Nutritionist. And if you haven't already, check out our website, biblicalnutritionacademy.com. Yes, we have an academy to teach you courses on how to understand God's recipe for excellent health in praying, fasting, and eating. Until next time, thanks for watching.